Okay, Facebook, I am at the County Government Center. This is your county park board. They are having a meeting today. It starts at noon. They do have an agenda. There are quite a few people here. I don't know if they will be allowing questions or not. Here's their agenda. Let's see that. I've got parks. And these are the members up here. I have their names above the video.
Yeah.
There's a lot of light in here. They should be starting. Said they don't know if they'll be giving any or would have time for people here. I don't want to be in them. Okay.
Cool. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the July 10th meeting of the Madison County Parks and Recreation Board. We will start with roll call.
Nancy Anderson, present. Tom Bannon. Rob Wolfgang.
Here.
Vice President Rachel Christerson. Here. President Lynn Orcutt.
Here. We have an agenda for today. We distributed a number of them. Hopefully anybody who cares to see one has seen one. But we need to approve that agenda for today.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
All right. Motion and second on approval of the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay. Meeting minutes. We have two series of minutes here from the May 1st meeting and then the June 5th meeting, which was the public listening session. Those minutes have been passed around. I would entertain a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve both the May 1st, 2025 and the June 5th, 2025 meeting minutes. I'll second.
All right. All in favor of approving those two sets of minutes?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. All right. Approval of minutes is good. And then we have memorandums of executive sessions. We've had 3 of those dated April 17, May 1st, and June 27th. There are not minutes recorded of those executive sessions, obviously, but we have memorandums describing what we discussed and what we did. So I would entertain a motion for, I believe we can do all 3 of those together.
I'll make a motion that we approve the April 17th, May 1st, and June 27th memorandums of executive sessions.
All right. All in favor of those approvals?
Aye.
No opposed? All right. Good. Move through those pretty quickly. Great. And then old business. We don't have anything listed specifically. We're on to new information today. Right? So yeah, we want to start with Honest Digital Professional Services. That'd be great.
Thank you, Ben. One of the goals that the board has expressed is improving our presence, our branding, and our messaging. And so to support this, we have been talking with Carrie Ann Rich. And Carrie Ann is here today, and she's given us a proposal, which is in your packet, for supporting us in those services. And so I've asked if Carrie Ann would mind coming up and just introducing herself and telling you a little bit about who she is and her firm and how they're looking to partner with us.
Watch your step.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Carrie Ann Rich. I own Honest Digital. We are a digital and marketing communications firm I am a Madison County girl, grew up, born and raised here in Madison County. So full circle moment professionally that I have the opportunity to work with the Parks Board on marketing services. Our company, we primarily focus on services that help businesses and organizations with their online presence, how they communicate to those that they are reaching. So website development, social media, public advocacy, public relations, those services. So we are excited about the opportunity to help the Parks Board, the Parks Department, better communicate with the community in those efforts, and we're looking forward to it. So any questions I can answer?
Anybody from the board have any questions?
I just want to say I'm super excited that we're getting you on board. So it's definitely a need for our board, and it's nice to be able to contract with someone that can help us be better communicators.
Absolutely.
So Carrie Ann's contract is in your packet. It's for an hourly structure with a not to exceed amount of $50,000. That does fall within the ARPA appropriation that was granted to the board for operational expenses for this very purpose. So we ask for your consideration of this agreement.
And just for the public's edification, I guess, the goal here is to be building out a website, email newsletters, besides logos and branding and more specific things that we just need to do structurally, particularly related to this project. Our goal is to increase the flow of communication, keep everybody on board, and make sure that we're all on the same page.
Absolutely.
It's a needed thing. So we need to vote in this moment to approve this contract? Okay. So, yeah. Anybody with something like that, any kind of motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the marketing services agreement prepared to us by Honest Digital Agency.
I'll second that.
Great. All in favor of working through this agreement, signing this contract with Carrie Ann?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie Ann.
All right, so next up is we'll have a presentation from Burgess and Nigel about the feasibility study that they've been working on for quite a few months here. Just to make sure everybody's on the same page, this presentation is a feasibility study that we asked them to do on the White River Corridor section of Madison County. So to back it all the way out, the county decided to spend some ARPA funding on trail studies, park studies, all of these types of things. That was all done. Our board was formed. We decided to focus our energy in the first section here on this part of Madison County, sort of west of Anderson, east of the county line, looking generally at the White River Corridor space. As we did that proposal has gone back to the commissioners, the county council, a number of steps have gone through so that we have all agreed that this is an area we want to focus on. Now, we have employed Burgess and Nigel to tell us what is really feasible, tell us how this ARPA funding that we have can be best utilized in that space. And yeah, we're excited to sort of see how we can keep moving forward. So we've had a number of questions, I guess, just to back up slightly, about why we're looking at this area and maybe why we aren't looking at other parts of the county. To be clear, we're looking at all parts of the county, but we had to choose a geographic area to begin to study. And for a whole host of reasons, this corridor is what we've decided to study first. So, yeah, we're looking forward to the results.
Could you introduce yourself, Ruth?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me here today to present the results of the feasibility study for the White River Greenway. My name is Ruth Hook, and I am the Environmental Section Director for Burgess and Nigel. In 2024, Burgess and Nigel was asked to begin to identify potential projects along the White River Greenway on the western side of Madison County. The projects needed to be those that advanced the vision for the White River Greenway while also strategically using the allocated funds from ARPA. In order to advance the vision for the White River Greenway, we looked at a feasibility for a roadside trail, a riverside trail, as well as development of anchor parks. The first project we looked at was a roadside trail along West 8th Street that would generally go from the city of Anderson's limits to the Hamilton-Madison County line. The trail would be a 10-foot wide paved path that could be constructed on either side of the roadway, as well as a combination of both. In order to minimize the project's footprint, as well as ensure safety for trail users, curb and gutter, as well as other barriers could be considered. Our preliminary cost estimate for the roadside trail came to be about $1.3 million per mile of trail. Along with the roadside trail, our team evaluated the development of a trail generally along the White River from the city of Anderson limits west to the Madison County line. The trail would be a 10-foot wide paved path similar to that along the roadside, but there would also be a buffer zone between the trail and the river and a maintained zone on the opposite side. The trail could be constructed on the north side, the south side, or a combination of both as opportunities to access and cross the river become available. Our preliminary cost estimate for a White River Riverside Trail is a little over $1.26 million per mile of trail. As a way to begin to implement the vision of the White River Greenway along the corridor, the development of an anchor park on the western end of Madison County was considered. The western anchor park would upgrade the existing IDNR boat ramp near Perkinsville. The preliminary cost estimate for this anchor park is a little less than $500,000. Our study also looked into establishing additional anchor parks along the White River Greenway within this corridor. These anchor parks would be strategically placed and would focus on the preservation of natural setting while also providing for enhanced safe and controlled access to the river. The preliminary cost estimate for an anchor park is about $1.2 million.
Are you able to back one screen or no?
After the presentation, we'll be able to do something.
Key to the identification of the best strategic use of the appropriated ARPA funds was the consideration of how the project would be designed and constructed. As a way to best utilize the funds within the time constraints, the Burgess and Nyepel team recommended the utilization of an alternative delivery method, specifically the build, operate, transfer. While the trail projects considered within the feasibility study are viable projects, Burgess and Nyepel recommends the development of the western park and an additional park as the most strategic use of the appropriated funds. These parks will allow for the utilization of the funds within the time constraints of ARPA funding while also advancing the White River Greenway vision. I thank you for the opportunity to present the findings, and I welcome questions from the board.
I'm excited. And I did. For this pot of funds that we have, you know, looking at the per mile estimates, like we obviously wouldn't be getting very far with what we have to spend right now. So I like the idea of having the anchor parks. I love the idea of being able to partner with IDNR. I mean, I think that is huge for our board to be able to work with other recreation providers in the county and how to bolster, you know, some of the existing assets that we have. And I think, you know, for a first project that we are working through, to be able to do a built project at the end is pretty impressive and something that I think I'm really proud to be a part of. So I think that, and even like the term anchor park, I think is just interesting, and I like it. And I like the idea of having the boat ramps because, you know, I think our long-term vision, of course, is based on our Parks and Recreation Master Plan, which has a huge focus on trails. You know, this is a different type of trail. It's a water trail, a blueway trail. right? So I think, this helps us hit our goals as a park board in a creative way using the funds that we have available.
We know a lot of people use the White River already for canoe, kayak, water sport, and so we don't have great access to the river here in Madison County through any of our parks, and so this would be a big add, especially in a place. Yeah, being able to renovate an existing facility feels substantial. Yeah, those are all good partnership ideas, I think.
Can you, and I don't know, Jess, if you know more, I don't know a ton about the existing boat launch can you tell us were you just there? I've never been there, so
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
absolutely. The existing IDNR, we'll navigate to that slide and then we can talk a little bit more about it. Oh, here we go.
Thank you.
The existing DNR boat launch there outside Perkinsville is a pretty primitive site. There is a gravel access drive and turnaround currently existing there, and then there is a concrete path that serves as the launch into the river. Our initial investigation using these aerials and looking at it indicate that the concrete ramp into the river is actually in really good condition and could be reutilized as part of this project. And then in general here, the facility would be upgraded to be a paved entrance as well as paved parking and turnaround. You can see here there is accommodation being made. So those launching boats can pull over, launch their watercraft, and then continue through the circle, as well as considerations have been made for pedestrian safety with paved paths around the exterior of the parking lot as well as around that inner circle. So in a general concept for scale, if you see that green area that's in the middle, that is about the size of the existing facility. So it does substantially increase the size of the facility and the ability for it to be utilized.
And this is obviously just a conceptual drawing.
Correct.
We're in super early stages here, so the idea of additional amenity besides literally just a parking lot is quite realistic.
Correct.
It's hard to know exactly what would make sense there because it is a flood zone and there's all of those considerations, but the idea that this is an amenity that could be used for more purposes than just launching a boat is pretty realistic.
Yes, that is correct. What we are showing here is definitely a very general conceptual layout. There is the ability with this project to add amenities as funding is identified within the current ARPA funds as well as for future projects to be added to this facility to expand its use, increase its comfort for the users, and continue to advance the vision for the White River Greenway.
Can you flip to the other proposed anchor park? Go back one. Okay, can you talk about this one a little bit more because it looks bigger than the other one?
That is correct. So this additional anchor park is a conceptual drawing similar to the other one that the general idea was it could be situated anywhere along the corridor in which there was available land. No specific site was considered. It was something that we could cookie cutter anywhere that we wanted to provide access in this facility. It is larger, generally in that graphic. The inner green circle of this one is about the size of the full recommended size on the Perkinsville one, with additional amenities, including the parking. This one, there is an exterior loop that would allow for parallel parking of boats with trailers. So if you were having a kayak service launching parties or picking up parties here, they could park out of the way along that exterior. There's also the multi-use path coming into it, a greenway separating trail users from roadway users. And all of these are amenities that could be removed or added to any of the park locations. So if there is not the ability for an eastern anchor park or an anchor park in the middle of the corridor to accommodate something of this size, those items could be removed and shrunk down in scale to fit the setting.
One of the things that I really liked about Burgess and Nichols' approach on these was scalability, giving a baseline option with provisions and the ability to add in different features, adding in the extra parking around the outside loop, adding in the ability to put in programming space, adding in the ability for natural playscapes, things like that, depending on funding. And that kind of lends itself towards the the build, operate, transfer model that they're recommending.
What is the vision, I guess, for the center island part of this?
So there's been a lot of discussions about that, and nothing has been set in stone. It can be used for a few different opportunities depending on the specific site. One thing that we talked about was using it for stormwater management, constructing a natural wetland area, or prairie grasses, something along those lines. Another opportunity we talked about was to use it for programming space. Others talked about, there were a lot of ideas during the master planning effort about featuring famous Madison County individuals, or highlighting things about Madison County along some of these different features. And so like that could be, it could also be used for picnic pavilions and facilities like that.
And then another question, sorry, I've got a lot. The new wetlands stormwater control area, can you talk a little bit more about that? I'm just curious, like, why, obviously we're in a floodplain, but like, can you talk more about why that was, I guess, included as a feature?
Sure. I think a big part of it was just making sure that we had taken into account the need for stormwater management infrastructure and adding that in as a placeholder, knowing that as the actual site were to be investigated, specifics determined at that time.
So like our next step would be looking for, like, once we secure a site or select a site and secure a site, we would be doing like our next step in doing a design for it that, like, this is the conceptual idea.
If you have, unless there's other questions, I can move on to the next steps.
Oh, yeah.
If you'd like to. If you guys have other questions. Thanks, Ruby. Well, you can stay there if you want, but, so based on Burgess and Nichols' recommendation, back in March of this year, if you recall, we had talked about moving forward with issuing a request for qualifications and proposals for build, operate, transfer services. We've put that solicitation out, and this is a qualification-based selection because it is for professional services. So rather than being one where you get like a bid, this is for professional services. So it's based on the team and the proposal that that particular team puts together and the qualifications and expertise of that team. When we put that solicitation out, we received 4 respondents. 3 of those met the qualifications and requirements for what we had outlined in the request. And the review committee, which was comprised, as you recall, of the board members, met with each of those 3 and interviewed them. From that process, one of the teams raced to the top, and that was the Avenue Development Team. And we do have representatives of Avenue here with us today. It was a unanimous decision by the board to begin talks with Avenue. And so the point we're at today, now that we have the recommendation from Burgess and Nyepel, and we have a potential build, operate, transfer, development team selected, what we're asking for is the board to consider moving forward in 3 steps. One would be to move forward with accepting Burgess and Nyepel's recommendations. The second would be to officially select the Avenue team as the build, operate, transfer developer and to begin negotiations with them to move forward with an agreement. And then the third would be to schedule a public hearing for this process, which could theoretically occur at the next park board meeting on August 7th.
Yeah, okay.
So
That's a lot of
happy to answer
information.
any questions about that process as well.
So in this moment, we need probably a few motions to carry a few of those things forward. Is there any?
Or can I do it as well?
Or do we have any other discussion up here to talk about before we make a motion?
In a motion in terms of process here is what we're
Yeah.
looking
For
for.
process, you can make a motion and then have discussion about the motion too. Before you vote.
I almost would like to do them as separate motions, if you guys don't mind. Or at least the first one. I think we should make a motion on Burgess and Nyepel's recommendation first. And I think that should be our first step. And then I think after that, then let's consider Avenue and the BFT process. I think, yeah, I guess that's nice.
That makes perfect sense. I'd be looking for a
Yeah.
motion
I'll
to
make a
accept the Burgess and Michael feasibility study.
Yes, I will make a motion to accept the purchase and Michael feasibility study on the addition of an anchor park in Purposeful Park.
And the alternative procurement methodology.
Okay. So I just want to be clear that the motion is to move forward with Burgess and Michael's recommendation of an alternative procurement method and the anchor parks. I guess I would second that motion though. I think it's super cool.
Alright, so, all in favor of motion to accept this feasibility study as described? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No? Okay, very good. Thank you, Burgess and Michael, for the presentation and the effort up until this point. And so then, to talk specifically about avenue, alternative procurement method. These are weird words that we're all learning here, I think. The long and the short of it is our goal in this moment is to connect with a contractor early enough in the process that we're not guessing on design/cost, that we know as we're designing what costs are, and we can move forward with the timeline that has been dictated to us by ARPA. All of these funds have to be expended by September of 2026. So a traditional method of doing a full design and then negotiating that whole bid and construct process just isn't realistic at all. So in order to keep things moving, that's really the framework for this BOT, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we can ask the Avenue team to talk if you'd like. I mean, I don't mind putting Craig on the spot.
Let's put Craig on the spot. He knew that was going to happen, I think. He looked comfortable with this. Right.
Hello, my name is Craig Parks. I'm Vice President of Engineering with the Avenue team. Similar to Carrie Ann, I mean, I've got ties to Madison County. I've got to go to AU, and my dad actually, the reason we're in Indiana is because of the Culligans here in town. So, look forward to being able to work with all of you. This is a perfect opportunity for a build, operate, transfer, because we can help contractors come alongside of the design team as understand the costs, how much we can, how many amenities we can fit into each of these locations to best utilize the ARPA funding that you have. So we're looking forward to rolling up our sleeves.
Meeting today.
First project that we are working through, to be able to do a built project at the end is pretty impressive and something that I think I'm really proud to be a part of. So I think that, and even like the term anchor park, I think is just right.
Hello, my name is Craig Parks. I'm Vice President of Engineering with the Avenue team. Similar to Carrie Ann, I mean, I've got ties to Madison County. I've got to go to AU, and my dad actually, the reason we're in Indiana is because of the Culligans here in town. So, look forward to being able to work with all of you. This is a perfect opportunity for a build, operate, transfer, because we can help contractors come alongside of the design team as understand the costs, how much we can, how many amenities we can fit into each of these locations to best utilize the ARPA funding that you have. So we're looking forward to rolling up our sleeves and helping out your team, being able to deliver this to the citizens of Madison County.
You all have experience with trails and parks.
Yes, our team is made up of of companies who have worked on the Cardinal Greenway, as well as the smaller firm that has worked on detailed parks all around DNR parks. They have a relationship with DNR as well, to be able to help some of the specialty stuff that you don't often have from contractors. So yes, our team yeah. And again, it's a fun project to be a part of.
Hey Craig, would you mind telling us who your stated partners that were on the team
Yes,
initially are?
E&B Paving, as well as Scenic Construction. Scenic Construction is the small, unique parks company. E&B Paving is a Madison County company, and that many are familiar with. They're more than a paving company, though. So E&B Paving is more than just pavement, but they're excited about it too. Because one gentleman on that team, part of E&B, actually worked for the Cardinal Greenway as it initiated. So it's coming full circle for him as well. So it's excellent. And they're looking forward to this because they employ so many Madison County residents. E&B Paving does, so that's why they're looking forward to it.
When we did interviews, like you guys by far stood out. Like it was, I think after we got done with your interview, we were just like, okay, do we need to do the rest? But of course we did, but like your team just felt really comfortable with our location. You know, just you guys felt like our people, I guess, and you know, are familiar with the area, and we're equally as excited about doing something, you know, than we were. Like I think your hearts are all in the right place, and
I don't know how many times. I mean, I live in Lebanon, right? And I don't know how many times I come across 8th, all the way from. I mean, it goes all the way into Lebanon, right? It becomes 47. So that's always been my beeline to bring a daughter to school. Yeah, it's excellent. I'm looking forward to it.
So you've seen all the signs of everybody not wanting this then?
I think we'll do some public engagement at the end, but right now it's not very appropriate to speak out in the middle of the meeting.
Good question.
Also to note, Ben, Burgess and Nickel will still be involved. They're the ones who will come alongside of Avenue, and we'll be jointly working on this together. I just want to make sure you didn't lose sight of that.
Thank you.
Well, and if you see Brian Morgan, tell him we said hi, or I said hi at least. I should just text him, but I was excited to see Brian and both of you. I worked with him a lot when I was down in Hamilton. Yep, good guy. Thanks, Craig. Okay. Any other discussion that we want to have? Because I'm excited to make a motion.
Make said motion.
All right, I would say that I make a motion to select Avenue as the team to begin negotiations for the BOT agreement, and also to set a public hearing for the process for Thursday, August 7th at noon at our next regularly scheduled park board meeting.
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor of the motion as presented? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. All right. Well, yeah, we're excited to be working with Avenue and continue with Burgess and Nickel to get these things going. So, very good.
Thank you.
Staff report is the next item on the agenda. I don't know if we have anything super
I don't
specific
have any
besides these reports.
No.
Okay. Very good. We do have a few minutes. We've worked pretty quickly, so if anybody has public comment, we can do that for a few minutes. If anybody wants to come to the podium and name, address, and a moment. Do we need to order people? What's the process? As long as everybody's just taking a minute. Alan, if you want to go first, and, filter through it. Yeah, that's
Do we have a
fine.
sign sheet?
Just sign in sheet on it.
Sign in.
If you would, please. And then maybe pass that to whomever wants to speak after so they can be ready.
Yes, my name is Alan Coburn. I live at 5614 West 8th Street Road, Anderson, Indiana. I went to the fish kill meetings when the money was divided for guide lamp. And the people at those meetings agreed to meet of an evening so that the working class could be there. You've set these meetings up where it's very difficult for the people that actually own the land to come and give their responses. Would you guys be agreeable to meet of an evening, some of your meetings?
I can speak to that, actually. One thing that we have been talking with Carrie Ann about is scheduling, what do we call them? Did we get the term wrong? Town hall meetings in the evenings so that we can share some ideas and get feedback from residents and have those conversations. Yes, and actually to look at how we can locate it out in the area of where the residents are as well, so that we can not necessarily require people to come here to the courthouse, but go to where the residents are.
Okay. And another thing, this meeting, not as many people here today as there was the last time, but we gave you our email addresses, but a lot of people didn't know what today's meeting was. I wasn't sure until yesterday. I'd written it down. But if you've got our emails, could you send us when the meetings are gonna be?
And that is exactly why we are bringing Carrie and Ann on to help us get a structure and framework for those communications in place.
We have done the required advertisement, which is obviously minimal in terms of what's legally required in terms of posting in the paper. But we've had this meeting scheduled on this date all year. You know, we announced at the very beginning of the year when all of our regular meetings.
And we announced it at the end of last meeting too, so everyone that was at that meeting heard.
Yeah, but a lot of them are like me and forget.
That sounds, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Next
Alan.
meeting is August 7th.
August 7th at noon in this room.
Does anybody else want to say something?
I'm Jessica Carter, and I live at 5346 West Street. And yesterday I drove from Park Road all the way to 13, and I counted those signs. And I went down the side roads. There are 78 signs. We don't want this. Who doesn't want it? Who lives on this street? Why do you get to say that you can take my part of my property and my land to do this? We don't want it. And I'm pissed about it, and so are they.
We pay our property taxes.
I don't want it in front of my house, and I don't want it behind my house. My property goes from 8th Street all the way to the river. I have 4.5 acres. I don't want it, and they don't want it, and you shouldn't take it.
Just like Yellowstone, the movie.
If you can come up into the microphone and say your name, okay, then,
It's just like Yellowstone, the movie.
then stop. If you want to talk, please come up to the podium. Anyone else?
Hey, Alan, I think you're supposed to pass that thing around.
I didn't think of that.
My name's Gary Cunningham. I lived out in Perkinville, raised out there. Matter of fact, my family settled out there in 1822, a long time ago. There's actually a cemetery out there on the north side of that 8th Street. It's on the Wisner Farm. There's a lot of, you guys are just pushing this stuff through without even researching anything. I have. Matter of fact, a friend of mine has already contacted the Attorney General's office down at Indianapolis. He's already contacted a lawyer down in Indianapolis. And I'm not going to tell you everything because I think it's going to be a long process. I'll say that. You can go ahead and approve your meetings, or whatever you think. There's nothing wrong in dreaming. But people pay property taxes, and the only way you're going to get the land is through eminent domain. That's the only way you're going to get it. So,
Well, and we're committed to not doing that, so.
well, that ain't gonna happen. I can tell you that. That's, you know. And the other question is, I looked up your site on Facebook and stuff. I know you went to the Anderson City Council and stuff, and you got turned down up there because you wanted to do it on Columbus Avenue and on the road that goes over to that school there on Scatterfield.
No.
Well, that's not particularly relevant to the county department, I'm not sure.
Well, I know, but that's the reason why, but I don't even know when that meeting was, but I didn't look. But anyway, you run a bicycle shop, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The bike trail is a bicycle, all right?
Bike trail is a bicycle?
The bike trail is for bicycles, but she owns a company there.
But it's more than just a bike trail.
It's also for people.
I mean, I look at it like, I've always looked at it like similar to the city. I mean, it's just a county sidewalk. I mean, you look at it like that, it's for.
Well, look, it's Anderson City limits, they're tearing houses. There's no jobs here.
But it's more than just a bike trail.
Well, you can say that, that's your opportunity to say it. But.
And I guess what is the point that Ben owns a bike shop and this is a bike trail?
Conflict of interest.
There's no financial interest in that. He's not.
You don't know that. You don't know that, right?
I would say Ben is a huge bike advocate, and he has been for decades. And I think this is very appropriate.
And you're supposed to have. I've heard you were going to take bids on it. You have a company.
Bids on what?
On the construction
of the anchor parks.
Well, the park, whatever, the trail, whatever.
We're not taking bids on a trail right now.
No, but the rumor was that you were.
Me?
No, you or your husband or whoever.
My husband? I'm not married.
Well,
if we can stick to the topic at hand, I think.
Well, I think it's all topic.
Well,
because it involves people.
Yeah, but hearsay and rumor is not for public discussion. We're here to talk
Okay.
about facts.
I guess what I saw on heard everything wasn't true.
No, because I'm definitely not married. You can look that up.
Well, I ain't talking about married. You own a company.
Well, I feel like that's very personal, and I don't know why that's relevant to the conversation.
Okay. I dealt with county commissioners too, so it don't matter. But I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
I'll
time.
let the surprise come later.
Anybody else like to speak?
Josh Miller, I'm a Madison County resident, Jackson Township resident. So, number one, thank you for having this meeting. Thank you to Burgess and Nyepel for this presentation. It's nice to see some facts and some costs and some locations. So thank you. Two questions. What we feel as a group that, and you've addressed it as well, there's other projects in Madison County, and then the previous meeting, some of those other projects were presented. Are we going to see a presentation on the other projects?
Whenever, like, are you talking about I guess the Thriving
Communities program that we're part of, the cohort?
I don't think I mean that, because within your master plan, there were other projects outside of the White River Greenway project that you were looking at. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're interested in countywide trail and park development.
Great. So thank you. So at what point in time will we see a plan for that could possibly have a less of a negative impact on the community?
Well, we have the Parks and Recreation Master Plan right now. I've been working with Jess on the Thriving Communities program, so they're.
So I think the important part of it is, as the funding opportunities come available, that is when we are able to advance the development of different opportunities. Right, Thriving Communities is in the South Madison area. The ARPA funds, that process started a year and a half ago, as far as appropriating ARPA funds to the White River Greenway, and that was discussed multiple times and approved by multiple agencies and boards prior to that even becoming a possibility. And then the appropriation from the commissioners, the council, and the ARPA leadership team is specifically for White River Greenway.
So
that is where the criteria for the Burgess and Nyepel study came into play.
So there's no current action being taken in any other parts of the master plan other than the White River Greenway project at this time with this funding pool. Is that correct?
With this funding pool.
Yes.
No. Are there other actions? Yes, but not with ARPA funds.
Other pools of funds, just in addition to ARPA funds? Can you say pools of actions? I don't know.
Well, the Thriving Communities would be an example of other trails that we're studying through an additional revenue stream in a different study format. So
And we don't have anything to report back on that yet, because that's a process that's ongoing right now, that we will have stuff at whenever that process is further along that we can discuss
That's
as a board.
focused on southern Madison County.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Fall Creek.
Perfect. So thank you for that clarification. And so with that information pulling back around, what time frame would that information be presented?
I mean, there's.
It varies depending on the situation. I think what we're looking at is probably, well, we have been giving regular updates on the thriving communities. We've paused on that right now because this was more of, obviously, a pertinent discussion at this time.
In Pendleton Parks, in Pendleton, I don't remember the name of the Falls Park. The folks in Pendleton have been working on designs and exploring trails along those areas for quite some time.
Sure.
So our involvement with them is through the thriving communities. But, you know, we've talked to folks in Frankton. There's lots of dialogues about trail development and lots of, there's lots of opportunities, but funding is obviously a major element. This ARPA funding is super restricted in terms of dominantly timeline. And so we've focused the energy. Yeah.
So thank you for that clarification. And final question on the last meeting is the temperature is what I feel I communicated in the last meeting, Ms. Christerson, you addressed, would be lowered if eminent domain was off the table. And this board has communicated, and the county engineer, Ms. Baston, has communicated this board does not have a quote appetite for eminent domain. So start off by saying thank you to that. I think one clarification is this board doesn't. And I think these are appointments that could change, and there's term limits on your board seats. If I'm correct on that, I'm not saying that I am.
There's term times,
Term
there's not
times.
limits necessarily.
So is it right to assume that at a later point in time, different individuals could be on the board than what's sitting here right now?
Absolutely.
So this board doesn't have an appetite for eminent domain. And what my request to you was, Ms. Christensen, when you addressed last meeting, was if it were be communicated in a written format that would have some teeth, like this board will not use eminent domain in any way, shape, or form. In my opinion, that can lower the temperature of the sediment here when people know their property will not be taken by this board. I think that would help alleviate some frustrations.
Well, I would say, I feel like there is a difference between an ordinance and a policy, and policies can be, they're not law, right? And I think what you're asking is more on the law side.
And I don't believe that the park board can create law. I would have to check with the attorney on that. However, one thing that might get to Mr. Miller's point is that one item we discussed during the master planning effort was to develop a policy on land acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of the things that is in the works to do. It has not been I don't want to say it hasn't been a priority. It hasn't been one of the things that has been able to be developed at this time, but that is certainly something that the board has expressed wanting to do and a desire to do it. But it would not be an ordinance.
Or do you see that, I guess, where does that belong? Would that belong in a park plan that, because I think I've done park plans before where we've done policy. Well, I feel like it's a policy thing. It's not necessarily a bylaw.
The recommendation of the master plan, in the master plan, I believe, was just to have a policy. Just this, like a statement policy.
Yeah, I think we can look at it. But I just want to be clear, like, there's a difference between policy and ordinances. And so ordinances, we are not able to do an ordinance here. That's a commissioner activity.
Sure.
So,
Thanks to the modern technology, our attorney has texted me, and he is watching online. He's unable to make it here in time for the meeting, but he said we can't bind future boards. That is one of the things this board cannot do, is it's not legally allowed to create any sort of rules or whatever that would bind a future board. So they can create a policy, but then obviously that policy could be adjusted in the future, just as it could be for any entity that has eminent domain rights, whether it be a utility or a governmental agency. So,
and that's just that I think we just need to be clear on like what that actually means and what you're actually asking and what we actually have authority to do or not do. So I think it's totally reasonable for us to have a policy, but I don't think we can guarantee to you or anyone here that a future board wouldn't amend that policy. So I think if that helps create comfort, like I think we have no problem doing a policy on that. And we can do that
So we work
either
to start
the bylaws, I guess, or we can do an amendment.
Okay, the master plan. The Commissioners, Council, and ARPA leadership team approved the appropriation of the $4 million in ARPA funds for the White River Greenway.
Okay. So what's confusing to me, because I saw their letters, what's confusing to me is in section 8, which is your summary, where you set out to say what you're going to focus on, specifically said was to first build trails, not blueways, because as you said, we already have quite a bit of use already of the river. It was the public comment maybe that I'm thinking of, the trails. The connectivity to existing amenities was also priority, but then it said in the section 8 on page 104 that you wanted to focus on north to south connectivity. So this has just perplexed me why it's east to west and it doesn't connect things. It's on page 104 of your summary of your
there, but that was not a part of it.
Yeah.
It was your 8th priority.
We have a lot of priorities. We have a lot of work to do in Madison County for energy.
Right, and that's just what's not been clear to me how this was selected. I mean, based on your report, it doesn't meet population need, the north to south connectivity, connecting. I wish at some point you could write or at least acknowledge I'd asked that question.
Yeah, I mean, on a large scale, the White River is being developed in terms of recreational outlet and obviously its utility. Trails are happening in Hamilton County, Delaware County, and have been for decades. Mm-hmm. We are the missing piece of that puzzle.
Oh,
we understand in terms of larger connectivity to additional resources, connectivity to other amenities. The White River corridor, all the way across Madison County, it jumps off the page very, very quickly in terms of potential projects. As we focus our county level energy onto the unincorporated parts of our county, the western portion of the county ranked very high in terms of population density without access to facilities. So
no, it was actually the bottom.
Actually,
in your
if you
report.
look at the level of service mapping in the report, the western corridor along 8th Street is a gap in the central Indiana. It's not as much of a gap
It was
as
the bottom of the.
It's not as much of a gap as the northern portion, for sure. But the ability to put in something with the limited funds that are available now that could be more, in fact, impactful in a shorter time frame.
The population
that raised these to the top. But if you look at the mapping, the heat mapping that shows the surface, western 8th Street is a gap area. It's not completely void of the level of service, but it is definitely lower than the other parts of central and southern Madison County.
And as described, the county commissioners, the county council, the ARPA funding groups, many other entities have agreed that this area deserves attention and focus.
That's why the summary document, though, did not.
But that master plan was also countywide. It was not specific to the ARPA funds. And so that's
it was the ARPA, the master plan was not.
It was paid for with ARPA funds, but it was again countywide, not specific to pursuit of ARPA funds for an actual infrastructure project. It's different.
So you're saying that ARPA funds have to be used for the White River corridor?
Yes.
Given by who?
The ARPA funding, I forget the name
ARPA
of the group.
leadership team, the ARPA community engagement team, the county commissioners and the county council and this park board all approved it. That's a total of about 50 individuals. Some are elected officials, some are appointed officials. Was that before the master plan was done? No, it was a year ago. Yeah. That would have been a little over a year ago that happened.
So when you said you guys were open to other comment, you were really focused on this. This is it.
We can't lose this funding to go to another place.
Okay. We still don't want it.
1 minute.
I can't be limited on time. You open up the floor. So my name is Rob Trotter. I'm at 76 North, 600 West. And once you open the floor for time, you have to listen to what is out there. So I did, but I will keep it fairly brief. I have two things. First off, has there been any study or anything communicated with the sheriff's department as to safety and security for parks and trailways and how much additional funds it's going to cost the sheriff to be able to provide security? And have we talked to EMA or anything like that? If anything was to happen to someone on this trail, do we have, these are unincorporated areas. We don't have the Anderson Fire Department, the Pendleton Fire Department to get out there unless we're going to pay them to come out and help. So there's additional funds on top of just the cost of the project to taxpayers that are going to end up going back against the taxpayer to pay for additional sheriff resources, additional EMA resources, and things that the county has to be able to get. Has there been any thought put into that?
Yeah, lots of thought has been put into that.
Has it been discussed with the sheriff?
Just interest of time, I can answer that question. We had very, very initial conversations with the sheriff and told him that as we developed the plan, that we would be in contact with him. We literally just talked about the plan.
Okay.
So this is the point where we will engage the sheriff. The other part of it to take into consideration is that the mechanism that we're using for this procurement is a build, operate, transfer. And so the operations part is not defined at this time. And that can and will likely be part of the, that can and will
transfer to, so that someone else builds it, operates it, and then the ownership transfers to the county. That's to this board.
Correct.
Okay. And then how has there been funding thoughts for maintenance and long-term care?
And again, that's part of the build, operate, transfer. That's part of what we will be entering into the discussion.
Well, I know, but those are just keywords of, you
would let me finish my thought, please. That's part of what we will be working with the build, operate, transfer group on. There will likely be a maintenance contract, security contract, whatever needs to go into that vision. That is what will be discussed over the coming weeks.
Also, I think you should seriously consider having an actual meeting time, like a special meeting for a special project. When there's this many people vocal on both sides, there needs to be a special meeting time that's in an evening at a place that's large enough where it is an actual meeting, not just a town hall. It needs to be a meeting where there can be minutes and public comment can go for as long as necessary for people to be able to share what they need to share. That is an actual meeting, not just a town hall. A town hall has no binding at all. There is no record of them. They just say, oh, we had them, and this was the memorandums of finding. There needs to be a time outside of this where there's a special meeting that says, this is a time set aside for this meeting so that people can go. Because it is extremely hard for people to get to a meeting at noon without taking time off work.
We agree.
So, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you all.
Well, that's the end of that meeting. I apologize for the no sound. I had inadvertently swiped by the one mute button. They do have a meeting time. Okay, that is the end of the meeting. People did have an opportunity to speak. There is one thing that is concerning that seems to be on everybody's mind here, and that is eminent domain. They need to make that a little bit more clear if they're going to have to use that or not. But this meeting is over, so Anderson City Council meeting is tonight at 6:00 p.m. So tune in if you'd like to see that. Bye.